A sign of what? That we should close the shutters and bar the door?
Downton Abbey, the grand finale, is gearing up to be the ultimate goodbye to the beloved Crawley family, and just as importantly, a heartfelt tribute to the late Dame Maggie Smith and her iconic role as Violet Crawley. Julian Fellowes, the creator of the franchise, recently opened up about how this third movie, which could very well be the last, will keep Violet's legacy alive, even though she's no longer physically part of the story. This new chapter takes place in the 1930s, a time when the world was deep in the grips of the Great Depression. Naturally, the Crawleys won't be immune to its impact. In fact, the trailer for the grand finale even hints at Robert Crawley possibly bidding farewell to the estate itself. The brief scene raises a big question. Will the family finally have to leave Downton behind? Whatever lies ahead, one thing's for sure. It'll all unfold without Violet Crawley. Her character passed away at the end of Downton Abbey, A New Era, and now with Dame Maggie Smith having passed in real life in 2024, her absence will be felt even more deeply in this final film. In a recent interview, Julian Fellowes talked about how Violet's spirit is still very much woven into the story. There's a clear sense in the film that the family continues to be, in a sense, dominated by Violet, he said. The fact that she's dead is a detail. According to Fellowes, it's her values, opinions, and unwavering sense of what the Crawley family stands for that still linger and influence everything they do. We miss Maggie in the film, of course, but that's the point. We're meant to miss her. That tells us a lot about where this final movie is headed. Violet may be gone, but she's still very much part of the family. The Crawleys can't just move on like nothing happened. Violet was their foundation, someone who fiercely believed in the legacy of the Grantham estate. Her love for the family, and especially her son Robert and granddaughter Mary, shaped the way they view their roles and responsibilities. So if the Crawleys are facing financial pressure and the estate becomes harder to maintain, it makes sense that Violet's presence will still be looming large. She would want them to keep fighting for it. And if they decide they can't hang on to Downton anymore, her absence might make that even harder to accept. That emotional weight could change the way they grieve and how they move forward. From where we're standing, maybe the grand finale really should mark the end of the Crawley saga. Even though Fellowes himself hasn't completely ruled out more projects, he said, "I never say never anymore. There's something fitting about ending it here. Without Violet, the dynamic of the family shifts in a way that feels final. This movie gives us a chance to see how the house operates without her, and how the actors carry those scenes without Maggie Smith to share the screen with. Maybe that's all we need." Sure, the story could continue following Robert's grandchildren or great-grandchildren someday, but would it really feel like Downton Abbey without Lady Violet's sharp wit and iconic one-liners? Probably not. That's why this third movie could be the perfect send-off for Violet, for Maggie Smith, and for the series as a whole. And if you're a fan of Julian Fellowes, there's a lot to look forward to in 2025. It's shaping up to be his biggest year yet. Fellowes is the mastermind behind Downton Abbey, which premiered back in 2010 and quickly became a global phenomenon, running for 6 seasons and spawning 3 movies. But in 2022, he also launched The Gilded Age on HBO, a sort of American cousin to Downton, set in the upper echelons of 1880s New York. That show's been doing well, and season 3 is coming soon. Of course, even though Fellowes won an Oscar for Gosford Park in 2001, he'll always be known for Downton Abbey. The saga begins in 1912 and stretches all the way into the 1930s in this final film. And with The Gilded Age picking up steam, he's proven he can take the Downton formula and make it work in a completely different setting. Both shows tackle similar themes: class, wealth, tradition, and change, and fans of one often find themselves enjoying the other. In 2025, Fellowes will be pulling double duty with The Gilded Age Season 3 premiering on HBO in June and Downton Abbey the grand finale hitting theaters on September 12. That's just 1 month apart, basically peak Julian Fellowes season. Back in 2022, The Gilded Age premiered in January and A New Era dropped in May. But the timing wasn't ideal since the movie theaters were still bouncing back from pandemic-era restrictions. This time around, both shows are in a much stronger place, and the grand finale feels like a true event that fans won't want to miss. So what can we expect from Downton Abbey the grand finale? For one, it's being promoted as the last time we'll see the Crawleys on the big screen, at least in the way we've come to know them. Set in the 1930s, the film promises to explore how the family is embracing change and stepping into a new era. Most of the familiar cast is back, including Paul Giamatti, who's reprising his role as Cora's brother, Harold Levinson. As always, Downton Abbey is about how people adapt when everything around them starts to shift. That's been the heart of the story from the beginning. And now, with Violet gone, Lady Mary is stepping more fully into the role of family leader. That passing of the torch will be front and center. It's worth noting that while this movie marks an ending, Fellowes has also toyed with other ideas for the Downton universe. There's been talk of spin-offs, maybe even one focused on Lady Mary's son George, or a prequel about young Violet Crawley. In fact, he once considered tying Violet's backstory into the Gilded Age. So while the grand finale might close the book on the original Crawley story, there's always the possibility of exploring new corners of that world later on. In any case, 2025 is a banner year for fans of Fellowes' work. Whether you're tuning in for the opulence of the Gilded Age or preparing to say goodbye to Downton Abbey, you'll be getting the best of both worlds. The trailer for the grand finale makes its intentions pretty clear. This is the last hurrah. Robert is shown kissing the side of the Downton estate, a rare emotional display from such a buttoned-up character. It's a simple gesture, but it says a lot. Maybe he's bracing himself to say goodbye. Even so, the trailer doesn't feel gloomy. It's actually more celebratory than somber. The familiar theme song plays over scenes of smiling characters: Isabel, Mr. Carson, and others we've come to love. There's even a quick moment where Mary looks at a portrait of Violet, a subtle but touching nod to Maggie Smith. For fans who followed this family for over a decade, that's going to hit hard. But it also sets the tone. This movie isn't just about endings, it's about honoring everything that came before. So what's our takeaway from the trailer? Honestly, we're probably going to cry and cheer. Some people might say Downton Abbey has gone on long enough, but if you've stuck with the series this far, you're probably grateful it gets to go out on its own terms. The trailer shows us that the creative team knows exactly which emotional notes to hit, and that they're not taking the fans for granted. There's a real care going into this final chapter, and the fact that they found a way to include Maggie Smith, even symbolically, says a lot. So when Downton Abbey the grand finale lands in theaters this September, we'll be there, tissues in hand, ready to say goodbye one last time. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.